chat up with you. So, just for the audience, like Puneet said, Nicholas is an avid watch collector himself. He's a watch stylist, and you'll see through the session that how he helps all of us combat the issues of which strap to go with which watch. And he's the ninth generation guy working in the family business of making straps. So over to you, Hirsch. I want to first understand that what is Hirsch straps and how did it all started? How did you get into it? Just a brief background into it.
So thank you very much for this introduction. It's my pleasure being here today, and thank you for the invitation. Actually, there is a lot of story and a lot of history between Hirsch and India. We used to have two production sites in India back in the 80s and 90s. It was one of the first countries that my grandfather set out to conquer for Hirsch, because there's such a rich watch background in India. So that's something I wanted to share with you, and to give you a little bit of history on what we do and what we where we come from is basically we have a long history in the family of being leather craftsmen. So we have the first official document of my great and so on ancestor. Basically, he was a leather craftsman in 1765, creating leather and making saddles and all these types of things. And we used to have our own tannery in near to Vienna. And my great grandfather actually, after the Second World War, set out to move to the south of Austria, because he said there's not really something that he can do in the family business that was at that time near to Vienna. So he moved with his wife to the south of Austria. And from there, everything began, actually, because he was a big inventor. He loved creating things. So once he sat on his kitchen table and said, okay, what can I do? And so he started collecting leather pieces from the shoe industry that we used to have in the south of Austria, and then started creating watch bracelets, actually, as we like to call them, because in the German word for strap is Armband, and this basically translate to bracelet as a jewelry from a jewelry perspective. So we like to call our watch straps bracelets. So if you hear me say bracelets, then I actually mean watch straps. But other than that, that's when it all started. And he had this vision that every good jeweler, every consumer actually that wears a watch, they need a Hirsch bracelet. So he started selling these, and it took him quite some time to sell a couple of these, but it worked out. And then my grandfather took over the business and started expanding in many countries. And in the late 90s and the early 2000s, we started becoming one of the main suppliers of the Swiss watch industry. We now have a service business as well. So we do watch repairs and jewelry repairs in Switzerland, Spain, Portugal, and the UK. And well, we still have our core business, the own brand, where we sell in over 80 countries and have thousands of point of sale. So this is a very brief history in what we do and how it all came about.
Wow. Okay. So that's, I mean, honestly, I don't think any of us knew that. That's really rich history. And that's pretty amazing. So I think we can lead in with our first question. And it's a philosophical one, the first one. So Nicholaus, why do you think, when you see watch collectors, you always have two camps. You have people who change straps like there's no tomorrow, and you have people who stick to the same strap just forever. So why do you think that is? And do you have an argument to convert the non-strap changers to strap changers?
So I do think that it's something very personal. People like wearing certain things every day, and it really comes down. I think watches can relate very nicely to the personal style. And I think there's no right or wrong with that. What I want to show, what we want to show, is basically the opportunities that you can have, that there's more to it. And in that case, I think the best thing to do, and we certainly try to do that, is to make it simple and as easy as possible for someone to change his or her strap.
Right. Awesome. Okay. And then I think another question that intrigues most collectors, I think you'd be the best person with, this is straight from the horse's mouth, is that could you tell us something about the strap making process? Like, you know, what goes into the manufacturing of a leather strap?
Sure. So what most people don't know is actually that it takes up to 60 steps to create one of our watch straps. And this is due to the fact that there's a lot of small detail steps that need to be done in order to make the strap as durable and as well, as functional as it has to be. Because in the end, you're wearing this little piece of leather or any other material on your wrist for quite some time, and usually it stays on and doesn't get changed out. And so they need to be very, very durable. And this is necessary, and that's why we have 60 steps in order not only to create this functional aspect, but also to create the aesthetical aspect. One of the most important steps, or one of the 3 components that are basically used in a watch strap, is the bottom layer, which is usually made out of cow leather or pig leather, because these 2 types of leather are very, very durable and very soft on the skin. And then you have the upper material, which is really depends on what you want and what type of style you would like to go for. But you have everything from cow to alligator to ostrich, even fish skin sometimes, and a lot of synthetics nowadays, recycled plastics and textiles as well. And then you have, in my opinion, the most important component. And the most important component is the inside of the watch strap. I will try to show it to you here. Maybe you can see it. Yeah. So basically what we go for is we have all 3 components are made of the same material, or the base material is the same. And inside we use leather as well, because this enables the moisture that gets created and particles that are created during the wearing process. They can move freely through the strap, so they don't stay inside. And I think this is the most important part that a lot of manufacturers or a lot of companies that don't think about it, because it ensures a very high durability and longevity of the strap itself.
And is there a way is there a way one can tell what's on the inside of a strap? Or
there's no real way of knowing unless you cut it up like I did. But there are some indications that you're looking at a high quality watch strap, especially if you press if you press it on the cushion, then you will notice if it moves a little bit, if it gives in a little bit and it still stays the same, then it usually is a very compact material. So either it's leather, or there are some synthetic materials that are used that have similar features. But if it gives in a lot and it feels like there's air inside or something, then sometimes it's people or manufacturers use newspaper or these types of materials. Then you will know that it's not that durable. And these materials, the inside is the one that's most affected by moisture, because if the moisture stays in, then it gets soaked up, and then yeah, you have this unfortunate event that the leather starts to smell.
Okay, okay, that answers a lot of questions. That really does. Nidhi, did you have a question that you want?
Yes, so I wanted to know, Nicholas, like I'm a starter. I've been collecting watches, but when it comes to knowing about straps or changing in, watches to straps, I'm quite a dodo. So just wanted to know the basics of it. What are the different kind of straps? There's leather, there's silicone, there's rubber. So if you could just very briefly tell us, so it helps the collectors to start their hobby into collecting straps.
Okay, so obviously the whole strap space is similarly complex as the metal bracelet part as well, because you have, of course, you have some different kinds of metals, and the same goes for the leather strap space as well. Nowadays, what we see a lot are two different kinds of straps. So you have rubber straps and you have leather straps. These are the most what we see that are going on. In terms of rubber, there are two basic components that are used. The one is, as you already mentioned, is silicon, which we tend not to use because the silicon at some point it's not so comfortable on the wrist, and it has not the same durability as the other component that is mainly used, and that's caoutchouc. And caoutchouc is a synthetic material that is created, and it is a bit harder, sometimes not as flexible, but it has a lot of positive features, being hypoallergenic, for example. It can come in various different kinds of colors, and it also gives the possibility in creating hybrid straps, which are very rarely seen in silicon. And that leads me into the next segment, is the hybrid straps, which are this combination between normally caoutchouc and a upper material, which can be basically everything. Hublot is a very good example for that, because they do a lot of these types of creations with their art of fusion. You can really try out a lot of different kinds of options. For example, we have this kind of watch straps, which is a caoutchouc on the bottom side, and it's wood on the top side. So it's real genuine wood that you have here. It's very flexible, as you can see. It doesn't break. So this is the cool feature of this combination, because it adds such a flexibility, and you have so many different kinds of possibilities with that. We even have one that is made in combination with genuine stone. So as you can see, there are a lot of possibilities. And then the biggest part actually of watch straps are leather straps. And in leather straps, you have all the different kinds of leathers. Mainly used is one of the most used is cow leather, which you have in different kinds of forms, different kinds of shapes, and different kinds of colors as well. But the mainly used one is the classic Italian style, which is plain and where you don't have a lot of structure on it. And then there are the ones that are that have the alligator prints on it. And these are actually the main two that are used from, well, that you see a lot in the watch industry. And that being said, then you have a lot of other skins that can be used. So the most known and the most luxurious is obviously alligator skins with their beautiful scales. And also these ones, they come in many different kinds of varieties, colors, and shapes as well. But one of the most expensive, well, actually the most expensive material that is being used from the industry, because actually each skin can only produce, depending on what type of scale format you're looking for on the strap, you can produce anywhere from 2 to maximum 8, maybe 10 if you're lucky, watch straps out of one skin. So that's why they are so expensive. And the alligator skins, they have one more additional feature, is they are very, very durable. Just out of the box, they're already very, very durable, and they have a very, very nice feel. So this is it's actually also one of my favorites. I really love them because you have every piece is also a bit unique. And then we can already move into the newest materials that are coming up right now. Apart from the natural materials, we have a lot of synthetic materials as well. Back in the day, especially for high fashion watch brands and for very jewelry oriented watch brands, there were materials used like silk and these types of materials. And nowadays you see a lot of textiles. You see canvas is used a lot, especially in the more sporty or orientated outdoor watches. And then you have all these recycled materials as well that are coming up right now a lot. And of course, there are many other materials to get into, like ostrich, lizard, shark skin, other fish skins, and many more. But nowadays, these are the most prominent and yeah, the most used ones.
Food.
So
That's
this,
a lot.
That's a
yeah, I
lot
hope
of-
it didn't it wasn't too much for you.
No, it's not
The
overwhelming.
brief
It's just
overview.
very insightful.
I think you opened a whole new can of worms. I had no idea.
For a collector, yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned sustainability. So sustainability, like, basically recycle straps and environmentally friendly straps. Is that something that's really affecting the watch strap industry? Is that something you're looking into as well?
Absolutely. So the whole aspect of sustainability is something that is absolutely necessary to talk about, especially in the region of leather, because leather, to create leather, you need a lot of water. And there have been a lot of initiatives in the past years to make the creation of leather more environmentally friendly, and also to make it more sensible. So what we see right now is, especially what we also do, of course, we try and we only work with long-lasting partners where we also can have an effect on their production process, so that we can see what they're doing, how they're doing it. But what is very interesting right now is the other opportunities beside leather. So a lot of brands are thinking about incorporating more of this sustainable aspect. And what we see is especially the whole topic of recycling, which is the easiest one to get into if you're just getting started, because these materials already exist, they are already being produced, and it's it's an easier approach than actually thinking about creating your own material that is really 100% sustainable. So our approach to this topic is basically the second, in creating something of our own that really has this full life cycle of being created and then going back to its former state. So at some point we want to create a strap that is 100% sustainable and basically biodegradable at some point. And we'll see how soon we can achieve that. But our tactic right now is in creating products that are made from nature. So for example, the wood one I showed to you before, the one product that we've launched right now is a leaf structure strap that has real genuine leaves on top, still on the caoutchouc. But the second one that we've just launched right now is also, it's made out of wine leaves. I hope you can see it. And this one is already not on caoutchouc, but on a microfiber technology bottom side. So this is something that we're working on right now, also incorporating the whole strap in it. So also the inside is being made sustainable in using plants to create the same features as the leather has. So the whole topic of sustainability is super hot right now, and I think that for a lot of brands and a lot of manufacturers as well, we need to start thinking on how we can actually create a benefit rather than just using more materials than we used before.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really good to know. That's where the direction of the strap industry is headed. Right. So now I think we got to address the fact that you are a self-professed watch stylist. And I think we'd all like to know if you have any insights into the do's and don'ts of styling watches with different straps. Are there any rules, guidelines, something like that?
I think if you're starting out, I'd say definitely there are a couple of rules that you can go for, but I tend to say the opposite, that there are no rules. You just have to go for what you like, what you personally feel that's right for you. So it's similar to fashion. A lot of do's and don'ts have been created over time, and now they're being broken by influencers, by bloggers, by the fashion industry themselves. So I think that it's really up to you. It's up to your personal style. What do you want to express, and who are you? And I think this is the most important part that I like to incorporate in these stylings, because I just want to show that also what women have been doing for a very, very long time, and I really, really appreciate that, is that you can definitely make or break an outfit with accessories and jewelry. And for men, this is a whole new field, I think, and it's something very interesting as well. And I don't want to say that the watch styling is just for men. Absolutely not. On the contrary, it's for everyone. And I just see that we as men, we still need to learn more about it. So that's the brief intro into the world of watch styling. Basically, for me, I have two approaches that I like to go for. And the one is, if you're having a watch that is very plain, that is very simple, you can really play with colors. You can go for anything. If you have a black dial or a white dial or a gray dial or even a blue dial, you can really play with colors. However, if you have a watch that has some very distinctive color pattern in it already, I always like to use my Milgauss as an example. It has the green sapphire glass and the orange details on the dial and the orange second hand. This is a very, very difficult watch to style, and you don't have as many possibilities as you would have with a classic dial and with no colors. However, there are some things that you can go for. Basically, what I tend to do is, and what I recommend, is going for the colors that are in the watch already. So, for example, with the Milgauss, I tend to go with a green strap, which works perfectly fine. Just don't overdo it with the color. And if it's too bright of a green, then of course it might not work as good. And I also go for the details. For example, I had a strap made a couple of years ago that was a green ostrich, and it had orange stitching matching the orange details. This is something you can pull off, definitely, but it needs some, you need some confidence to do that. And in terms of the whole styling of yourself, it also goes into either I match the watch to the outfit. So basically the color pattern is played through, or I go for a plain outfit and have the watch be my main color of choice. And that's basically it in terms of that. The other option that you have on watches that have this distinctive color pattern is that you go for something very low key, like a black strap, for example, or a gray strap that works. I found the gray suede, for example, works very, very nicely on most colors. And brown is also always an option. So this is basically the very brief and very easy intro into the watch styling in terms of do's and don'ts.
Okay. I think, Puneet, this answers your question. We were having a debate the other day. He has a green Oris and he has no idea which strap it can work with apart from brown. So I think this definitely answers Puneet's question as well. And gray, it's a really underrated strap color. You almost never see that. I think, yeah, absolutely. Do you are there any upcoming trends in the styling department? I mean, as far as styling goes, any new trends you see coming into the watch strap scene?
So what I think then is definitely coming right now is um, the whole trying out of different colors. Right now you have all of these dial options that are coming with different kinds of colors. You have Watches and Wonders that was filled with green, and I think we will see more of that and more of that in the future. You had Rolex last year with the Oyster Perpetual, with many different kinds of color options on the dial. And I think that's something that also the brands want to push, in my opinion, that there's just more possibility and more creativity out there. And and uh, and yeah, that's basically what I see coming. I think we will also see more people trying out more colors. And the other thing is, for this year, I think especially that we have the Pantone color trends for this year that are yellow and gray. I think we might see some yellow, even though yellow is a very hard color to pull off.
Mhm.
But I think that there might be some possibilities there, especially in the watch styling.
Nice. Okay. Personally, I love that. I think I speak for everyone. I think everybody's a big yellow fan here. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, speaking of brands, now that you've mentioned brands, this is a controversial question. Which brands do you, according to you, do you think supply really good stock of leather straps or silicone straps with their watches, and which brands, supply not very nice ones with their watches?
That's a very, very good question, and I wish I could answer the question. But as you might know, we are one of the main suppliers of the Swiss watch industry, and we are not allowed, or yeah, we don't want to say whom we work with, basically, because it's also in terms of respect that we respect the brands. But what I can definitely say is that you definitely have brands that have very, very good straps, and you definitely have brands even in the Swiss watch industry that don't have the same attention to detail as the others. So I think there's a big gap between these two sides, because you have the ones really that are very, very meticulous when it comes down to the whole aspect of the watch, where they really have this super high attention to detail. Everything has to be perfect, everything has to be matched, and everything has to be high quality. And on the contrary, you have watch brands that think a lot about how the watch will look and all of the components of the watch, but don't really spend the same amount of time or similar amount of time in thinking about how the watch will actually wear on the wrist. So you might have harder or not as comfortable watch straps as you could have.
So even some high-end brands are guilty of this, of not quite paying attention to a strap.
I would say so, yes.
You're putting him in a spot.
You can draw their names with sign language. We won't tell anyone, I promise. Okay.
No, I think that there's a big turning point right now, especially in terms of people with the whole quick release and the quick exchange mechanisms coming out, and giving the consumers the opportunity to change their own straps, making it more accessible. And more brands are starting to incorporate incorporating us, for example, into the process of the creation of the watch in an early stage, where we can work on how it will wear and how it will feel on the wrist. And this is something that I think that is very important, because in the end, it's a watch that you wear and it has to be comfortable. And if it's not comfortable, you won't wear it. So these two aspects are very important for us as a consumers, us as the creators of watch straps, and also for the brands, because of course they want to sell watches.
Okay, let me butt in here before Radeep puts you in a spot again. Okay, what we did was we had an interesting competition on the backside where we had our very, very excited members of Red Bar share their version and combination of straps and the watches. So we have a whole lineup of about 47 entries, right, Adi?
Yep.
And we want to show it to everyone here right now, all the entries. And Nicholas, you will have to tell us which is the best one that you like, which would also win a strap from you. So we're very, very excited. And thank you so much for sponsoring this.
And I'd
My
just like
pleasure.
to say that the sheer amount of entries that were sent in, like everybody was so excited and did their best. So congratulations to everyone, man. It was so cool looking at the combinations. But yeah, okay. I'm just gonna quickly run through them. Okay, can everybody see my screen and all the straps?
Yes, we can.
Awesome, let's go. So there we go.
Oh, nice. I see apart from the combination, there's some very, very interesting pictures also taken. That's some classic
Yeah, you have some
photographers.
really, really nice pictures, and thank you for everyone that sent in the pictures. I really enjoyed looking at all of them.
Interesting.
So do you want me to like already state who won, or should we do it in
just 20 images time? You can declare the winner.
We just want to show all the entries to everyone here.
The best
Sounds good.
combination, right? Not the best picture quality.
Exactly.
And that's it.
All right.
So,
interesting.
Nicholas, you get to pick 3 winners. And
I get to pick 3 winners. Perfect. So I will go for number 24.
Okay.
Can you show that again?
Yeah,
yeah.
I just clicked on it by mistake. Okay, number 24. Number 24. Number 24. Are we there? All right. Okay. Can the real 24 please stand up?
Yeah, that's me. Ahan.
Hey, okay. Okay, Nicholas, the next one.
Perfect. Then I have number 35.
Number 35. Oh yeah, okay. I can see why you picked that. Okay. And number 35, please stand up. I think it's Sagar Jain. Blurry as hell, man.
Oh.
Okay. And he's in his bed. Wow, that's awesome. That's how I would like to see a conference. That's brilliant. Okay, Sagar Jain, congrats, man. Okay, and now finally the last winner.
And the last winner is number 46.
46.
Ah.
Hey, that's I know whose that is. That's Naren. Is Naren here? No. No, you're supposed to be. Okay, well, I guess I will let Naren know. He'll be pretty excited.
I just want to say that I really liked all of the pictures, and I really liked all of the combinations. Very, very cool things. A lot of colors. I really like that. I tried to do it as random as possible, just to make it totally fair. And I hope we can do something similar in the future.
No, awesome. I think
see these cool pictures. Yeah.
I don't think you did us any favors by showing us the stone strap, the real leaves on that strap. I don't think any of us had any idea that that's even possible. We just assumed it's a print.
Yeah, and all the winners will get one of our newest leaf watch straps. So we will get in contact and then.
Super.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations,
guys. Okay. All right. Then let's continue. Then do you have any tips, tricks, and hacks when it comes to switching straps around, or like basically removing them? A lot of people, like especially people with a date just, they find it difficult removing a strap. Do you have any hacks?
Yeah, so the hardest thing to do and the hardest step is basically removing a metal bracelet, especially especially the ones from Rolex that can be quite difficult to do. So what I always recommend, I mean, if you want to try it yourself, then you're happy to do so. But if you're worried about getting some scratches in, or if you don't want to do it yourself, especially on metal bracelets, I always recommend going to a dealer or a good watchmaker and having them take off the metal bracelet for you. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's just one of the safest options. In the end, we're talking about luxury watches and they have value. So you might not want to mess around too much. I do it myself. I've made plenty of scratches into my watches, but I don't care as much about these things. I see it as battle scars in the end. Then one of the tricks or one of the things that I really love is these classic quick exchange push pins. I'll try to show one in here. These are the ones like this. And they're very common in the watch industry, and a lot of brands are already utilizing them. And the cool part about these is they work with nearly every watch. So except from if you have like a special attachment or an integration, then yeah, you might not be able to change as much as you would like. But if you have a classic watch that has normal push pins where you can easily put on any other strap, then definitely I'd recommend always going for a quick exchange push pin, because it makes life so much easier when changing. This really takes a couple of seconds in taking off and a couple of seconds in putting on again. I usually show that on my Instagram a lot, and people always ask me how I do it, but it's a very simple process. If you have a leather strap or any soft material strap on your watch and you want to take it off, there are these spring bar tools that you can use. What I always recommend is to put some tape on the lugs on the bottom and on the top side, so that just in case if the springboard pops out too fast and uncontrolled, then it doesn't scratch the lugs. So that's easy hint for that. And other than that, that's basically it. That's the hacks and the tips in terms of that. That's all I do. It's very simple, but I really go for the quick exchange straps because they make life so much easier.
Definitely. And I think the tape thing seems like such a simple, obvious thing to do, but I don't think any of us have done that. But yeah, that's a great little hack right there. That's awesome. Cool. And what about the care and maintenance of leather straps? I think most of us here just chuck our straps in a drawer and hope for the best. But is there anything, what do you do for looking after your leather straps?
So that's a super good question, and I really appreciate this question because most of the people, they don't think about exactly that. So you can really enhance the durability and the longevity of one of the leather straps when you keep them safe and when you take care of them from time to time. So what I always recommend is when it comes to care for leather straps is to rinse them off with lukewarm water every couple of weeks. If you're wearing it a lot, for example, if you're wearing your strap every day for 2 weeks straight, then I'd really recommend washing it off and then letting it dry. It's a very simple thing to do. You don't need soap, you don't need any extra wax or anything like that. Just rinse it off with a little bit of water and you're good to go. I'd say 80% of the materials, they can handle that. What we do is every leather that we use is already treated in a way that it can work with water. So even though you might not want to go swimming with your watch strap, with your leather strap a lot, it's always okay to just rinse it off with normal classic water, and then you're good to go. Just leave it dry, and that's it.
So like just hold it under the tap, rinse it clean,
Exactly.
put it dry. Okay.
Exactly. And what I do is I just take a normal leather strap, just rinse it off. Make sure that you don't have to leave it on too long, because you don't want the strap to soak in the water. You just rinse it off and then you let it dry, and that's it. And this works for most of the leathers. What I don't recommend is doing it with suede, because suede is very it might change too much the upper material of suede. So the best thing here to do is just to maybe use a slight brush and to brush off the suede, and that's it. Maybe you can take a small damp cloth and just wipe off the bottom side that is not made of suede, and that's it for taking care of leather straps, basically. This works also with alligator straps. Just one thing to note: if you have a alligator strap that is shiny, then the best thing to do is to wipe it off with a damp cloth as well, and not to rinse it off, because the coating on top might get harmed if there's too much water going on to it. But that's it basically in terms of care for watch straps. The other thing that I really recommend doing is keeping your watch straps in a somewhat dark and dry space, so not too humid, because it really helps also with the longevity of the material. And you don't want them to you don't want the leather to dry out too much, so it's a good space to keep them. I usually have I can show you that. I usually have a box like this, but you can put it in any box you want. What I do is I just don't stack them too much, because also there are some materials that are very that can get harmed by the thorn of the thorn buckle, or by the spring bars or something. So I just usually lay them out flat, and that's it.
I mean, before we head out for audience questions, I personally had a question. So you mentioned suede straps.
Yeah.
And they become dark in dark. They become dark over time, or dark in spots. Is there any way to get rid of that? Because I've tried everything.
So if they get if the suede gets some slight darker spots, what you can do is you can try to put it under water, just to make it even. Or sometimes the dark spots are from some moisture on your wrist, or maybe some sweat or something like that gets stuck there. And you can get it out by putting some water on it. But in terms of the water as well, it might make the whole strap darker than it is. Most of the time, suede tends to get some patina over time. That's just the usual, especially the lighter colors, the black and brown. They don't get as darker as they are. But if you have something like a light gray or a beige or something like that, they will get darker over time, because it's just normal, and the material is very open. So if you can imagine, it's like it takes in a lot of substances, and it just changes over time. It's very normal.
Okay, cool. It is inevitable then. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Before we open for audience questions, where do you? What plans does Hirsch have for India? And in which market globally do you see the watch strap industry growing?
So I see a lot of potential, or we see a lot of potential in all around the world. Basically, there are markets that are more open for fashion, especially Asia. For example, you have South Korea that has this very booming fashion industry. But overall, I think we want to be everywhere where the consumer is. So we're open to any country. And in terms of India, we've worked with a lot of partners in India over the last couple of years, and there's definitely more for us to do. And if any of you wants to reach out or has a recommendation of whom we should work with or where we should be present in India, then I'd be happy to get in contact, because currently we're looking into opening up partnerships with more partners in India, because we see a lot of potential there as well, especially in e-commerce.
Okay, I think Nicholaus, you've opened the floodgates. You're going to get bombarded now with requests.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, so let's open the floor for questions.
I think Pata, you had a question, so go ahead.
Pata?
Yeah, hi, Nicholas. Can you just touch upon what do you mean by no-made leather?
What I mean with no-made leather?
That's right. Is it like from a particular animal? Probably is it like the calf of a cow or a basin? Is it like a calf?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I mean with normal leather is basically calf skin. That's the most used one. Yeah, calf skin. Yeah, sorry.
Pata, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's right. Yes. And is it expensive compared to a full-grown animal?
So actually the watch industry or the bracelet industry refers to calf leather as something special, but usually it's normal cow hide. So it's not necessarily from the younger animals. It's just a term that has been implemented in the industry and is being used very commonly, but it doesn't necessarily refer to leather that is only being used from the younger animals.
Thank you, Nicholas. Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Anyone else?
I see a question by Neeja. Neeja, do you want to ask directly?
Yes, I don't mind. Hi, Nicola. Thank you so much for a lovely session, guys. I love spending weekends on Zoom with you guys. But I actually was very, very interested to know, how do you identify these creative materials? For instance, we were talking about stones, or you were showing us those lovely straps with leaves. So, I mean, is it like just an epiphany and you're like, hey, why don't we use leaves on straps today? Or I'm sure there's a more, a better approach to kind of find materials that work well.
So that's a very, very good question. This is something that we have been working on over many, many years, even generations, actually. This is something that is in our DNA. We always, so my great-grandfather, he had a saying. He used to say, there's nothing that cannot be done even better. So he was constantly a man who thought there is a possibility to do more. We can do something that is different from other people. So that was his philosophy, and this philosophy carries on into the business and everyone that's been working for us for a very long time. And we have a lot of people working in the business for over 20 years. And they knew him, they knew my grandfather, and they know my father, and now they know me and my brother, of course. So this is a philosophy that we have, and how we identify materials that we can use basically is we test a lot. So we have a R&D department, and they do nothing other than testing materials the whole year long. So we have different kinds of tests that we need to make, especially when it comes down to different components paired with each other. And one of the most important tests that we do is one that involves flexibility, because you want the watch strap to be flexible on your wrist, and you don't want the upper material breaking off or not being aesthetically pleasing after a short amount of time. And the second that we look into is the whole aspect of what the material means to us and to people who buy the product. So that's why you will see a lot of natural materials nowadays, because we feel that this is something that we need to do, and this is something that is very good for the future as well. But there are other things going on that I would love to share with you, but unfortunately I cannot. At least
Completely
yet.
understand. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you have a job opening, I'll apply. Anyway,
Sounds good.
I think Pata had another question. I'll just read it out. Has Hirsch diversified beyond straps and bracelets in?
So in what we've always done is, out of the ideas that we've created, my grandfather used to also create new businesses. So at some point in time, we worked on ceramics a lot, and out of that, we created a business that is focused on creating the ceramics for the teeth adjustments.
Oh.
And then these businesses mostly were sold or were given to family members to manage. And nowadays, what we do is we think a lot about internal innovations, materials that we can repurpose. But in terms of actual products, apart from the watch bracelet itself, we don't regularly do anything else, because we think that we need to focus on what we do, and to have this full focus on one product can mean for us that we can really improve the product.
All right. I don't think anyone saw the ceramic thing coming. That's really interesting. Ish,
yeah, we're full of surprises.
I know, clearly. I mean, the history, the diversification, it's just, I had no idea. Ish Devan, you had a few questions. You want to take them?
Yep. Hi, Nicholaus.
Hi.
Yep. I have one question regarding the watches that are now coming with integrated bracelets. Any plans for bringing out straps for those watches that have integrated bracelets?
So what we are closely monitoring right now is this whole space of integrated bracelets and also the quick exchange mechanisms, because our philosophy is that we want to create products for everyone, basically. So what our bracelets mean is that we want to have a product for 90% or 95% of the people. Basically, that you can buy one strap and put it on many watches that you own. So this is our philosophy. So the whole space of the integrated straps right now is quite interesting to see, and we will see what we can do with that. If there's any opportunity for us to create something for all integrated bracelets, or if we can maybe create an adapter or something like that where we can put on our existing straps, this is something that we're looking at right now. But in terms of creating one specific model for one integration, this is not something that we don't do that, because we really want to offer products for everyone.
My second question is for small wristed guys like me. So when we buy these straps off the shelf, most of the times, like in my case, I feel if I buy the standard length, the tail is too long. If I buy the short length, then the strap is too short. The ideal length is to buy a medium and a large, where the buckle end of the large and the tail end of the medium works for me. So what are your thoughts, or do you have any plans to have some strap customizers on your site for people to identify, okay, I want this strap, but can you make these lengths for us? Or do you face any such issues for us from us small wristed guys?
Yeah, I'm a small-wristed guy myself, so I can totally understand your issues that you are having. It's a really interesting thing because if I try out our products in the L length, then some of the models will fit perfectly, and I don't know why, and some of the products will not fit at all, and then I have to go for the smaller size. So it's a really interesting space, and I'm personally really monitoring this space as well, because I see that especially with our involvement in the Asian countries, and we have a company in Japan where we see that yeah, we need to make smaller options as well, and what is seemingly more important as well, or becoming more important, is that we have to offer different kinds of size options for different kinds of materials, especially when not only thinking about men but also thinking about women. And this is something that we're currently looking at right now.
I mean, honestly,
Right.
I think I speak for all small-wristed people, including myself, when I say that this is something that most small-wristed people have to use to make additional holes. But yeah, thank you. If you can do that, that would be amazing. Fennel
Yeah,
had a really good question. How ethically are some exotic straps sourced, like ostrich or kudu, and not specifically by Hirsch, but the strap industry in general?
so in terms of exotic strap options, there are some materials that over the past few years have become very unpopular. So the most notable one is certainly the snake skin, where I don't want to go into detail on that, but it's not very ethically what has been going on with these type of materials. However, one of the most transparent and certainly ethical materials is definitely the alligator skin, because what we can do right now with the alligator skin is we can go back from the skin that we get. We can go back to the egg of the actual animal, so we know everything about that. And most of the bigger manufacturers of watch straps, especially the ones that are situated in Europe, they have to comply with these rules. And there's actually an association that we've founded with a couple of other watch strap manufacturers, where we constantly monitor the supply chain, where we look for this transparency, where we audit the supply chain as well, where we audit the manufacturers of the leather, and also the farms where the leather is coming from. And what we're trying to work out right now is actually implementing this transparency into our watch straps. So in the end, for you, for example, as a consumer, that you can really, for example, we could use an NFC chip, and with that you can read everything about the animal or the whole supply chain where the product was created. And this is something that we're working on right now, especially in terms of working with the Swiss watch industry. But this of course goes for the main materials used in the watch industry. So you have alligators, you have crocodiles, and you have cow leather or calf skin that is being looked at right now, but also the synthetic materials like caoutchouc, they are being audited as well. And then you have ostrich and kudu, which are up and coming, but also there, for example, with the kudu one, we have one supplier that is working with us. We personally go there, we check them out, we audit them in terms of what we need from them, and then we only work with them if we know who they are and how they work with, how their working situation is. So this is a very, very important topic, because for us, we're a family company. We cannot allow a dirty supply chain or anything like that, because we've been in business since many years and my brother and me were in the fourth generation of watch straps and in the ninth generation of leather. So this is something very important. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to create a business for the next couple of generations. So there's no space for mistakes, basically.
No, fair enough. I mean, it's a thin line, I guess. Shit, that's interesting. There are lots of questions coming in, but I'm just gonna address as many as I can with the time we have. Viranchi, do you want to take the next one? Viranchi?
Yeah, hi guys. Hi Nicholas.
Hi.
It's been a fantastic session. Thank you so much. You know, the name Hirsch is very synonymous with leather straps for decades. So it's good to see the young generation, you know, taking the flame forward. Mine is more of a, I would say, an idea or a suggestion, because not all of us are so design inclined, okay, where we can, you know, decide on how to pair, you know, the right color strap or design with the watch we have. I think we take inspiration from a lot of others. So, you know, have you thought of some kind of a, you know, AI customizer on your website where a person can select the particular model of the watch or even, you know, take a photograph and the software will, you know, give you some ideas of what could go well?
This is something that we've actually been thinking about. There are a couple of apps out there that offer this VR or AR opportunity in potentially doing something similar like I think IWC did, or the secondhand marketplace Chrono24 is doing with checking out their AR products. However, in referring to what you were saying with AI, I think there's a lot of potential in doing something like that. Still, for us, there's a huge amount of knowledge that we still need to gain on that specific topic. Definitely, we want to make our services better for everyone. A customizer, a option to work with AI to recommend something for you is something that is definitely on top of our mind, because right now, since we're having our own e-commerce store live for a year now, we have been getting more and more requests in recommending something to our consumers, and most of the time we don't have as much time to have a personal conversation for half an hour or an hour where you can get into what you like, what you wear, and what fit to your watch is best. So this is something that we're definitely looking at. And actually, it's really funny that you mention it, because I had a conversation with my grandfather on Wednesday, and he told me if I have read this AI article in an economics newspaper from Germany, I think. And he told me about the potential of AI. And I told him, okay, that's very interesting. Let's get together. Let's find some solutions and how we can do that. It's definitely something that we're thinking on right now, but nothing that we can implement immediately, unfortunately. But we have it on the horizon, hopefully.
The technology already exists, because, you know, there are some websites where you know, they sell eyeglasses, you know, so based on the shape of your face, or if you take a photograph and suggest a few things. So yeah, I think, you know, keep us posted. We look forward to that, you know, on your website.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have any information on that topic, I'd love to get in contact, and maybe we can exchange some ideas, or maybe if you know some people, we can get in contact with them and see how we can implement that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be happy to.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Sure, absolutely.
That would be really cool. Okay, so I don't think we have time for too many more questions. I think Sagar Shah, you want to take like one of the last ones?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Nicholas. How are you? It's nice to have you today. What I wanted to ask is that the Hermes leather is very famous, and I just wanted to know what extra do they do, or why are leather from Hermes so special? Do they do anything else, or do they have a USP that they do on their leather, and that's why it makes it so famous?
Oh, that's a very, very good question, and unfortunately not a question I actually can answer, because I don't know too much about the process of the creation of the Hermes leather in particular, but definitely something that is definitely something that I can tell you is that they have a long history in working with leather. So they have a lot of technology, they have a lot of skilled people, and I think what they do better than others is they stick to what they know. And you can see that in their products that they launch. You can see that in the materials that they use. They don't mix too many materials with each other. They stick to really that what they have. And from what I know is they have long-term partners in terms of production and in terms of materials. And so this is something that you need in a space like this, because if you have a long history with creating this one type of material that is perfect, then you need the same people in creating it over and over again. Sorry. I hope that helps. Unfortunately, I don't know a lot about this, but if I can relate it to what we do.
No, that's quite all right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
I think
no,
that.
and,
Sorry, you were
yeah,
saying something?
no problem. Thank you. And I had a last small question, if that's fine.
Go ahead.
Nicholas, I just wanted to know as to, for a normal consumer like us, how to differentiate between a good strap and a very good strap. Like, what should a buyer look for when buying a strap, or when ensuring that he gets a good strap? Because what we basically look for as a consumer, and somebody who does not know more about leather, is how well it matches with the watch. So that's what I wanted to know.
That's a very good question, and I'm very, very happy that you asked the question, because it's also something very important for us. So the number one thing that you can distinguish a very good watch strap from a not so good one is build quality. And in terms of build quality, I really mean every aspect of the materials used. And this is something that is very hard when talking about watch straps, because usually the easiest identification is to cut it up and to look what's inside. However, normally you cannot do that. So what you can look for is you can check out the edges. Most high quality watch straps have either lacquered edges, or they have a technology called rembordé, where you have the edges sealed with the upper material. We tend to use the sealing method because we think that the basic cut edges, they are not as comfortable as the one. And what you also should look for is when trying the watch strap is if there are any sharp edges, or if there are any sharp edges, because what you can see is if you have sharp edges, basically you know that it's manufactured in a very standardized way. So what we, for example, we have ladies and gentlemen sitting in the production, and after the product is produced, we have them check the bracelet on the edges as well. We have them double check if the edges are smooth or not. And this is one of the most important ones I can share with you. And the other one, I think, is also something that you can add to the overall build quality aspect, is to see if there are any edges that come off or are not glued to the material as good as they should be. And that's about it, basically, because you cannot really say that a strap that has perfectly straight stitching, for example, is good or bad, because there are different kinds of stitching methods used. And if it's a handmade stitched watch strap, then it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad one. So this is not the aspect to go for, but the really thing that you should go for is seeing and feeling the watch strap. And you will feel if it's too plasticky, if it feels too stiff, and then most of the time it's not as good as a higher quality one.
Any way one can differentiate them by looking at them online, like
Thank
the good ones from the bad ones?
Oh, that's very hard because it really depends on the pictures that you see. I don't really have an answer for that, but if I come up with an answer, I will be happy to share that with you. I'll ask internally in our production if there's any possibility to distinguish a good from a bad one by just looking at the pictures. Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think I'll call. I think that's it for today. And
I think so.
I'll
Yeah.
be back sometime. Puneet, would you like to take it away?
Sure. I mean, as usual, we are over time. So Nicholaus, that's been we didn't tell you this, but that's been a standard procedure or standard practice when we just say 60 minutes, and because of the interesting topic and the and an amazing guidance, I would say, from your end in terms of straps, we just continued talking. It was amazing. Good to know that even after the 9th generation is active right now, you guys are taking so much care in terms of the quality, the production, new materials, and how you select the new materials. And a lot of us didn't know that we actually use real stone or real leaf in your straps, and you're talking about ceramics now. And I think there is a new one just launched or launching it yesterday or day before. You were discussing that everywhere. And I think that was something which is coming through, and we're eagerly awaiting that one too. So I hope we get some kind of customizers, like Viranchi pointed out. I hope some of us, like myself, I'm not very good with straps, and I think this session will actually help me kind of dig into that hobby. And it's a very important hobby along with watch collecting. I think strap collecting itself is like a subset of that hobby, which actually makes it even more interesting, I would say. And a lot of people out here like me are missing out on that fun, and I think now it's about time to start all of that. And thank you so much for spending so much time with us. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you, Adeep and Nidhi. It was amazing. It was a lot of interesting questions put up, and the contest, obviously, congratulations to Ahan, Naren, and Sagar. Brilliant. We all submitted our pictures trying, but you guys just killed it. You're taking the show away. So we'll see you next time. We have some interesting sessions lined up. In fact, next week we have an internal Red Bar session, which is only for members, which is for an IWC exclusive preview event with Shofaizen. So it's going to be a lot of fun there. Unfortunately, it's only Red Bar members, but we'll have some interesting events coming through in the coming months. We're talking to a lot of brands, a lot of interesting people. So hope to see you then. And Nicholaus, you're always welcome for, Red Bar, right? I mean, we've spoken about it. So you're always welcome. And you have been coming through a lot of sessions. It's amazing to have you. And once again, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. And anytime if you want to do another second session, or if you have some additional questions, feel free to just contact me. The easiest way to get in contact with me is over Instagram. Just send me a message and I'll be happy to answer any further questions. Thank you very much. Puneet, Nidhi, and Adeep, thank you very much for having me. It's been a big pleasure of mine, and I hope to see you soon. Hopefully I can come to India in future, and we will definitely make that happen. Thank you.
Hopefully. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Nicola.
Bye.